Well, a question. When I say I, where are you going to localize that? In the head? No. In the chest? Behind the ribs? No. In these hands? No. Trace it, if you like, behind the eyes, under the breath, down the spine, and you will find sensation, but not the eye. Now, where am I? Am I here or here? No. No. I am not in the physical, absent from the body, present with the Lord. That is scripture, and it is law. If you search this body with the finest instruments, you will not arrest the eye, because the eye of you is not a prisoner of flesh. No surgeon has ever yet found any me inside of a body. Your spiritual you isn't confined to the material body. You cannot leave it because you are not in it, and you never have been in it. Hold that quietly. The moment consciousness stops trying to hang the eye upon a rib, a nerve, a brain cell, fear loses its first foothold. Fear must seize a location. It must say, here you are, and there the danger is, and between these two a contest begins. But I and my Father are one. Where, then, is there a second place from which a threat may arise? Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. If God is one, and God fills all, what room remains for a rival power? None. Fear needs a second power. God leaves it none. I am God, and there is none else. So, what is fear but the shadow cast by a belief that somewhere, somehow, there is an other that can challenge the one? Now, I am not counseling you to fight the shadow. Do not strike at your silhouette on the wall. We will not battle fear, that is, to give it coordinates and commission it as an enemy. We will withdraw its imagined partner. How? Be still and know that I am God. Not still to hypnotize, not still to manipulate, not still to make something happen. No, still to unhook attention from the body location myth. Still to let being announce itself as omnipresence. In that quiet, the mind ceases granting passports to appearances, and the one stands revealed without rival. Begin even now with a simple consent. I am not in the physical. I am present with the Lord. My conscious oneness with God constitutes my oneness with all spiritual being and idea. Where one is all, fear has no address. Let this be our path, not combat but relinquishment, not will but knowing, not two but one. And beneath your breath let the password move. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Be still and know that I am God. That is not poetry, that is law. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Not before, not beside, not after, no other. One power, God not as a distant monarch to placate, but as the only cause, the only law, the only presence. If God is one, infinite and indivisible, then in spirit there is no second principle to contest, to wound, or to heal. There is not a divine good on one side and an independent evil on the other. There is one, I am the Lord, and there is none else. When consciousness rests here, the very premise by which fear operates is withdrawn. Do you see why fear craves a second? It must have another actor to justify its drama. It must whisper, here is God and there is danger. Choose your champion and fight. But I and my Father are one. If there is no there outside omnipresence, then there is nothing from which a threat can gather itself. Therefore, we do not fight fear. Fighting fear assumes an adversary equal to God. No, not a bit. In the moment we swing at fear, we enthrone it as a power. Our work is subtler and truer. We retire the counterfeit premise. We exchange reaction for realization. Method yields to knowing. Be still. Not a forced blankness, not a trance, not a manipulation of breath or nerve. There is no occultism in stillness. Be still means withdraw the consent by which appearances are armed. Grant no passport to pictures on the screen. Rest in the one behind the screen. As you sow, so shall ye reap. Sow two powers in thought, and you will reap the harvest of alarm. Sow one power, and you will reap the peace that passes understanding. It is a law as unyielding as mathematics. You violate 2 times 2 is 4, and the principle does not come down to strike you. You simply fall out of harmony with what is. So with fear, it is the sensation of having argued yourself out of the infinite. Consider a traffic law. It does not choose a favorite driver. It maintains order impartially. So does the law of one power. It neither flatters nor frightens. It is a line, and order appears. Resist, and confusion appears not because a second law punished you, but because you attempted to live in a universe that is not there. Therefore, in each moment that would incite you to defend, pause, turn from reaction to realization. Whisper, if you must, thy grace is my sufficiency in all things, not my wit, not my will, thy grace. One source, one cause, one law. Let that be the end of begging and the beginning of knowing. I am merely the instrument. God is the actor. I do not advise spirit. I consent to it. I do not summon a power to face a power. I abide the one before whom shadows cannot stand. And as this knowing settles, you will feel the quiet triumph of a universe unopposed. Fear has nowhere to fasten because you have given it no partner. Be still and know. Stay with one. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Now let us look squarely and gently at how fear is made, not born made. Fear is handcrafted by thought. It is idolatry in its simplest form, the worship of an image, the crediting of effect with cause, the mistaking of shadow for substance. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. That is not a threat. That is a description of how reality functions. The moment we put a second law, a second cause, a second power beside God, we kneel to a graven idea and call it fact. And the tribute we pay to that idol is anxiety. How do we pay? With attention, with consent. We let a picture on the screen announce itself as power, yet the screen does not bruise. It only shows. A weather vane is not the wind. A thermometer is not the fever. The financial page is not supply. The diagnosis is not law. When we let an appearance borrow God's name, when we say, this can act upon me, we have sown two, and as you sow, so shall ye reap. Sow two powers and reap conflict. Sow one power and reap rest. It is not personal reward or punishment. It is the mathematics of consciousness. Consider mathematics itself. 2 times 2 is 4. You may resent it, argue it, plead with it, but if you build a bridge on 2 times 2 is 5, the bridge will tell you what you have done. You have not brought down the wrath of a punitive principle. You have simply stepped outside harmony, and the structure reports the error. So with fear. Anxiety is the arithmetic of error. The quiver in the heart, the tightening in the gut, the racing of thought are the bridge groaning under a miscalculation, the belief in a second power. I am the Lord, and there is none else. None. Not a bit. Now hear this with moral seriousness and without blame. Do not tamper with the cosmic law. It is a double-edged sword. When you try to use the law of one for a private advantage or to oppose a someone or a something, you have already introduced two. You have put a mask on God and called it mine. Immediately the penalty is self-inflicted, unrest. As you sow, the sowing is the misidentification of cause. The reaping is fear. We will not scold ourselves for yesterday's sowing. You have as much right to forgive yourself 70 times 7 as to forgive your neighbor. But we will stop paying tribute. We will stop tithing our attention to phantoms and return authority to the invisible. I and my Father are one. Let that be the end of idolatry. Let appearances report, but do not let them rule. The wind may blow on the screen. The numbers may shift. The body may speak in sensation, but the law of one remains. I am merely the instrument. God is the actor. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. In my oneness with God, I find my safety, my law, my peace. And when only one is acknowledged, fear denied, its partner has no standing and no voice. Let us take the body out of thought, not by despising it, not by pampering it, but by declining to call it I. When I say I, where are you going to put it? Now, where am I, here or here? In the head? No. In the chest? No. In these knees? These hands? No, no. The I is presence, not place, absent from the body, present with the Lord. That is not a poetic escape. It is a statement of identity. You cannot leave the body because you were never in it. Your spiritual you isn't confined to the material body, never was, never will be. In him we live and move and have our being. Not in flesh, in him. If I am not in the body, then bodily conditions cannot define my being or dictate my peace. They can register, yes, as a thermometer registers temperature, but they do not legislate. The robe does not make the priest. The instrument does not make the musician. The lens does not make the light. So this body does not constitute the I. It only reports to the I. The moment you stop calling reports law, the tyranny ends. I and my Father are one. My conscious oneness with God constitutes my oneness with all spiritual being and idea. In that oneness, what is there to fear? What rival? What second? None. Not a bit. Fear knows only one door to knock upon. Identification with sensation. It waits on the porch of the nerves. It rattles the windows of pulse and breath, and it says, "Open, for I am power." But if the I of you will not come to the door as body, fear has no entry. You are the house of spirit, not of alarms. You are the dwelling of the holy, not of headlines. When the inner answer is, I am not in the physical, I am present with the Lord, the premise required for fear's visit is withdrawn. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casteth out fear. Why? Because love is the felt recognition of one, and one leaves nothing outside to threaten. Do not think I am calling you to float above earth. I am calling you to place the earth where it belongs in God, and not as a rival to God. When the body is removed from the throne of identity, it takes its rightful seat as a useful servant. Then we can receive without interference. We can be still without bargaining. We can listen without clutching at symptoms and circumstances. In quiet, desireless receptivity, you will find there is an inner poise that needs no muscle to hold it, no nerve to defend it. I wait there not to make something happen, but to let what is be known until, at some unscheduled moment, the click of union is felt and the whole scene is seen in one. I am merely the instrument. God is the actor. Let the instrument be at rest, uninsistent, unlocalized in bone or brain, and watch how harmony plays. Whisper, if you like, thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Let it move without strain until it is no longer a sentence but a state. With a body out of thought, with I unseated from place and seated in presence, fear denied its only door stands homeless and dissolves in the light that never knew a second. In my oneness with God, I find my law, my love, my safety, my supply, and it is enough. Now, if the body is no longer the throne of identity, let it take its seat as a quiet servant, and let us give it a simple posture that will cease to intrude. It will be a chair low enough that your feet find the floor without stretch, the hips slightly forward so balance is easy and unforced. Keep the back upright but not rigid, as though a thread lifts the crown and the rest follows. Let the hands be light and unsupported, never propped on arms of a chair, never braced on thighs, resting loosely in the lap as if they had forgotten they were hands. Close the eyes, not because closed eyes are sacred, but because lids dim the traffic of images. There is no occult reason here, only one of physical ease. We are not arranging currents, not aligning planets, not manipulating breath to pry open heaven. We are merely reducing the clang of sensation until consciousness can grow quiet enough to receive what already is. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Be comfortable enough to forget the body, no more. When comfort becomes pursuit, you are back at the door answering fear as body. Enter without desire. We do not come to get, to fix, to bargain, or to demonstrate. Desire is a vote for two powers, what I have and what I want. We come to consent, and the prayer of consent is simple. Live thou thy life in me. Not my plan, but thy purpose. Not my voice, but thy word. Not by might nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. Let that be the atmosphere. I never give human advice, and I hope you will never ask the Spirit to endorse your map. We are not using mind power, suggestion, or even holy daydreams. I have studiously avoided mental and physical contacts because God is the actor and the doer and the beer. I am merely the instrument. Instruments do not advise musicians. They yield and sound. So you sit without project and without push. If thought wants to plan, smile and let it pass. If memory offers yesterday's bruise, bless it and let it pass. Then wait receptive, uncoercive, awake, no mantra as a lever, though a whisper may steady the heart. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Not to make it act, but to remind yourself that there is only one acting. We do not knock down doors, we stand at the door and knock. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. Opening is God's prerogative. Our part is consent, not command. Abide here a few minutes, or many, until the inner assurance rises of itself. No firework, no trance, only a soft certainty that presence is being itself as you. That is enough for now. You have not moved a mountain. You have removed the second power. And in that quiet removal, fear finds nothing to lean upon and falls of its own emptiness. We have taken our seat, quiet and desireless, and now we wait. No words or a few words. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things, and then silence. We do not tighten the breath. We do not count the seconds. We do not bargain with the invisible. We stand at the door and knock. Mind will suggest effort and display. No, no. Let them pass like birds crossing a sky. We do not time God. We do not ask for signs. We offer consent and keep still because one is being one. Then, quietly, there is the click. Not a shiver, not a blaze, but a soft interior assent, as though a key turned without hand. The Father within me doeth the works. It is known, not argued. The sense of two relaxes. The room is familiar, yet omnipresence is felt as itself. I and my Father are one. Fear finds no corner to hide in because there is no second wall left to cast a shadow. Be still and know. The knowing blooms of itself and holds. What follows is not triumph but law fulfilled. Guidance comes as a next rightness without debate. Peace descends like balance returning to a scale. Sometimes pain loosens. A need is met, a door opens. Not I, but Christ within. Not by might nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. When the click seals union, The activity is God's. God is the actor. I am merely the instrument. As 2 times 2 is 4, so harmony appears because one is being one and nothing opposes. Here is our restraint. We do not direct outcomes. We do not aim thought at a person, a bank book, a pulse. I never give human advice. Do not try to steer the infinite into your plan. Be it unto me according to thy word. Let grace find its own conduits. It already inhabits all. When will insists, it divides. When consent abides, it unites. Resist the itch to look and see if it worked. No, no. Let the Father within you do the works and keep yourself out of it. After the click, close the door with gratitude. Not analysis, not post-mortem, not story. In everything give thanks. Let thanks be a seal that keeps the wine from evaporating. Sit a minute more in quiet and let assurance stabilize. If a phrase wants to whisper, let it be this: Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Not to repeat a charm, but to rest the heart where it has been placed. Rise gently. Do the next thing. Walk in love. Fear has dissolved, not by combat, but by absence. One remains, and one is enough. Now, if the click has sealed union, how then shall we walk? Not as mystics set apart, but as citizens of a universe governed by law. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. These are not suggestions. They are the architecture of reality. One God is the first law. Love is its visible form. When the heart abides in one, love is not effort. It is inevitability. It neither flatters nor fears. It neither harms nor hardens. Why? Because love, as the activity of oneness, violates no law and therefore invites no reaction. Perfect love casteth out fear. My conscious oneness with God constitutes my oneness with all spiritual being and idea, and in that oneness, rivalry has no air to breathe. Think of a traffic law. It protects all without preference. It does not love one driver and scorn another. It ensures order. Break it, and the consequence is built in, not hurled from a personal anger. So with the law of one power, as you sow, so shall ye reap. Sow two and reap friction. Sow one and reap peace. Violate 2 times 2 is 4, and the bridge will speak, not the wrath of mathematics. Violate love, set a self apart to grasp or to punish, and unrest reports the error. Not because God is offended, but because you have stepped outside the line of what is. The law is impartial, and it is kind, because it keeps us safe when we do not argue with it, and when we do err, and we will remember mercy as law also. Forgive 70 times 7. You have as much right to forgive yourself as to forgive your neighbor. Guilt is another form of 2 powers. Me condemning me. No, no. Return to one. Confess the mistake to principle by ceasing to repeat it, and peace returns, because harmony is native, not earned. In love, self-correction is swift and gentle. It restores. It does not dramatize. Guard this law from sensational uses. Do not attempt to marshal thought to bend another's will. Do not lay on a hand as a lever to make God perform. I have studiously avoided mental and physical contacts. I never give human advice. Why? Because the moment we try to use the law for private gain or against the person, we divide the indivisible, and the double-edged sword answers the hand that wields it. God is the actor and the doer and the beer. I am merely the instrument. Instruments do not manipulate. They yield. What, then, is the safety of the saint and of the street? It is love fulfilling law. When I want nothing, you have, and you want nothing I have, we cannot contend. Blessed are the peacemakers. In my oneness with God, I find my law, my love, my safety. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Let me bear witness, not to convince you by argument, but to let the law speak through what has occurred when we refused to and rested in one. I share these not to kindle sensationalism, God forbid, but to show what happens when will stands aside and grace is permitted to be grace. A letter once reached me from a hospital room an ocean away. It said, "You stood at the foot of the bed last night. The terror that had gripped me for days broke like a thin shell and fell away. I slept. Now where was I? In that city? In that room? No. I was in a small chair in my lodging late evening, the body forgotten, the hands quiet in the lap. I had received a request for prayer. I did not project myself. I hope you will never try to do it. I only sat and knocked. Be still and know that I am God." There was the click, soft, interior, unmistakable, and then nothing to do except be grateful. He sent his word and healed them. Presence was presence, and fear denied. A second had no footing. One night a voice on the telephone, strained, "Our child is burning with fever. Tell us what to do." I never give human advice. I offered no instructions, no remedies. Not by might nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. I asked them to rest if they could, and I turned inward. No words beyond the password to still the heart. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. The body was removed from thought. Desire was removed from thought. We waited. In a few minutes, the click, and with it, peace, not for the child alone, for there is no alone in one. Later they called again to say, "She is sleeping. The heat has eased." Did I send calm across wires? No. I am merely the instrument. God is the actor. Another time a man came with figures and panic. If I sign this, I may lose all. If I refuse, I may lose all. What should I do? Again, I never give human advice. We sat together in silence. He learned to remove the body from thought, to let the ledger be a report and not a law, and we waited for the click. When it came, there was no dramatic instruction, only a gentle rectitude. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. He did the next right, honest thing, not the clever thing, and supply unfolded as order, not as windfall. The fear dissolved because two powers were no longer entertained. Do you see the thread? No hands laid on, no mind aimed at anyone, no technique employed to bend an outcome, only consent, only the denial of arrival to God. I and my Father are one. My conscious oneness with God constitutes my oneness with all spiritual being and idea. Therefore, presence is not a traveler. Absent from the body, present with the Lord. In that presence, the sense of a second dissolves and harmony appears by law. I tell you these things to give glory where it belongs. Not I, but Christ within. Not counsel, but kingdom. Not effort, but the click. Guard this. Never try to use it. Never try to send it. Stand still. Let God be God. And as you do, you will find again and again that grace acts, where will is surrendered and a second power is denied any standing. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Now let us meet today's fears in their costumes, the body that cries, the purse that trembles, the heart that wants and worries, different masks, one pretense, a second power. The remedy does not change. Each alarm is not a call to arms, but a bell to be still. We do not fight. We withdraw the partner that gives fear its standing. Be still and know I am merely the instrument. God is the actor. My conscious oneness with God constitutes my oneness with all spiritual being and idea. One is enough. In matters of health, do not battle symptoms. Quarreling with a report enthrones it. A thermometer is not the climate. A pulse is not your life. Withdraw their borrowed authority. I and my Father are one. He sent his word and healed them. Sit, remove the body from thought. Let sensation be appearance, not law. Absent from the body, present with the Lord. Whisper to steady the heart. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. No pushing, no using, no bargaining. Rest until the click, and let harmony report that. One alone is cause. In finances, replace anxious getting with sufficiency. The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof. Supply is the activity of God, not the favor of persons. People are channels. God is source. When you fear lack, do not rush to schemes. Sit. Seek first the kingdom, not increase. Let honesty be the next right step when it comes, but do not try to make the law deliver windfalls. That is two powers again, me and my gain. No, no. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Bills become reports, and order replaces panic. In relationships, fear withers where we want nothing another has and seek to take nothing at all. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Love fulfills the law by removing rivalry. We do not manipulate, fix, or persuade by spiritual means. I have studiously avoided mental and physical contacts. I never give human advice. Seek God, not an outcome. Sit until the click and then do the next right kind thing that presents itself. Owe no man anything, but to love one another. In one, there is nothing to defend and nothing to demand. So, when health stirs, when money tightens, when words collide, hear the bell. Be still. Withdraw the second power. Refuse to make an image your God. Be still and know that I am God. Whisper if you need, thy grace is my sufficiency in all things, and wait without will for the click. Rise and walk in love. Whatever the costume of fear, the remedy is one, consent to one, and let fear find no partner. Oneness realized in one heart becomes order realized in many. The law that quieted your pulse is the same law that steadies a household, a market, a nation. One power does not fragment when crowds gather. Omnipresence does not thin out in public squares. The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof. If reality is one, then society has one foundation, and fear enters only where we grant a second power to hatred, to scarcity, as 2 times 2 is 4 supports a bridge. Conscious oneness is the footing under justice and commerce. Without it, structures lean to coercion. With it, form takes balance from principle. Consider engineering. A sound foundation bears weight without groaning. It does not argue with the wind or the load. So, with oneness, when hearts consent to one, institutions rest true. Prices become reports, not weapons. Contracts become promises, not traps. Thou shalt have no other gods before me becomes civic sobriety. No other power but God. Therefore not fear to drive policy, not envy to draft laws, not propaganda to herd minds. We do not sanctify a faction and call it God. No, the law is impartial. As you sow, so shall ye reap. Sow competition for life itself, and you reap conflict. Sow sufficiency. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things, and you reap cooperation. Non-competition is not laziness. It is obedience to abundance. When I want nothing, you have, and you want nothing, I have. Because God is our source, the basis of conflict dissolves. The golden rule emerges not as courtesy, but as physics of spirit. It runs as a golden thread through scriptures. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Love thy neighbor as thyself. This is law, not sentiment. Violate it, and society groans as surely as a misbuilt arch. Honor it, and order appears without whips. Righteousness and peace have kissed, where no second power is credited to hatred or scarcity. Cooperation replaces coercion by necessity. Do not attempt to use spirit to install your program. I never give human advice. God is the actor. I am merely the instrument. We do not aim thought at parties or persons, not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. Begin where you are. Be still in the morning. Withdraw 2 powers from the headlines. Consent to 1. Then let simple righteousness be public. Pay promptly. Speak truth without sting. Release grudges. Refuse rumor. Owe no man anything but to love one another. In my oneness with God, I find my civic poise, my fairness, my courage. From such hearts order spreads like light at dawn, unstoppable. One realized becomes many ordered. Let us make this simple, steady, and sure. Morning before the world speaks, give 5 minutes to silence. Sit as we have learned, comfortable enough to forget the body, not to worship it. Close the eyes, remove the body from thought, refuse projects, refuse plans. Be still and know that I am God. Say nothing, or if a line must steady the heart, let it be only this: thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Then wait without demand until the atmosphere within turns, until there is the soft interior assent, the click or only the hint of it. Do not force it. No, no. If it comes, thank God. If it does not, still thank God. Rise with that one line quietly tucked in consciousness like a lamp under your coat. Carry it everywhere, not to use it as a tool, but to remind yourself that there is only one power. Midday, at the first tremor, an email, a symptom, a face that awakens an old bruise, stop. 1 minute. Remove the second power. Refuse to let an appearance borrow God's name. Shut the door of the lips, open the door of the heart, and consent again. I and my Father are one. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Not to get an answer, not to swing a lever, only to come home to one. As you sow, so shall ye reap. Sow a minute of oneness and reap proportionate quiet. Then do the next right thing, unhurried. Evening. Sit again, not to autopsy the day, but to offer thanks. In everything give thanks. Note, if you like, any fear that melted as proof of law, not of person, proof that one is being one, and that the double-edged sword of principle blesses obedience. Do not rehearse failures. Forgive 70 times 7, including yourself. Close the day with the seal. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Let gratitude be the pillow. Weekly, give yourself a longer sitting, wordless if possible, desireless certainly. No petitions, no bargains, no visions coaxed. Only the quiet willingness to be absent from the body, present with the Lord. Let this extended Sabbath reset the instrument to one power. It is not retreat, it is recalibration to reality. Guard these hours. Do not attempt to use them for advantage. Do not shape them into strategy. I never give human advice, and I hope you will never ask the Spirit to endorse your program. God is the actor. I am merely the instrument. Instruments do not choose scores. They yield. Allow inner law to lead outward steps. If a right act is given, it will come as unobstructed simplicity, never as pressure. Think of 2 times 2 is 4, no strain, only certainty. So with love's arithmetic, this is the rhythm. Morning consent, midday remembrance, evening gratitude, weekly reset. A cadence like the tide, faithful and quiet, washing the shore of the mind until the footprints of fear cannot hold. In my oneness with God, I find my poise, my law, my love, my supply. One power acknowledged, second powers denied, and fear seeking its partner and finding none cannot return. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. And it is enough. Let us seal this, not with strain, not with eagerness, but with the simple, unargued knowing that has carried us. I and my Father are one. Say it as you would acknowledge sunlight upon your face, not to summon the sun, but to admit what is. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Not a lever, not a charm, a password to quiet the mind and to remind the heart that one acts as one. Be still and know that I am God. When knowing rests where it belongs in God, effort ceases because premise has ceased. The second power has no bench from which to speak. And now, mercy. Forgive, release, and refuse to resurrect the second power in memory. Do not dig in yesterday's garden looking for fresh thorns. Forget the things which are behind and reach forth unto those things which are before. Forgive 70 times 7. Begin with the nearest neighbor yourself. You have as much right to forgive yourself as to forgive your brother, for guilt is a quarrel with one me against me, and there is no such court in God. As far as the east is from the west, so far hath he removed our transgressions from us. Do not contradict mercy by rehearsing failure. No, no. Place it where it belongs in the sea of principle and walk on in peace. To others grant the same. No second power in memory. Love thinketh no evil. Mercy is not leniency. It is law, the law of one, erasing the arithmetic of offense. Now, your commission. Go not to fix, not to persuade, not to deploy a method. Go to witness. One power. God is the actor and the doer and the beer. I am merely the instrument. Not by might nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. Let your light so shine, not your will so strive. I never give human advice. Do not ask spirit to endorse your map. Stand still within, and where the next rightness appears, walk it quietly, honestly, lovingly. Be it unto me according to thy word. This is ministry, the transparency of a life through which the law of love becomes visible form. And the close is simply the beginning sealed. Be still and know. In that knowing, fear looks for its partner and finds none, because one leaves it none. Fear needs a second power to live. God leaves it none. Therefore say without pressure, with the ease of recognition, I and my Father are one. In my oneness with God, I find my law, my love, my guidance, my supply. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Stay with one power. Let gratitude seal it. And as the heart consents, the world before you clarifies like dawn on clear water, quiet, inevitable, true, and so it is. And I thank you